Hi everybody, welcome back to South Street Vinyl. Today I'm going to be talking about grunge icons Nirvana and talking about some of the records in my collection. Nirvana were the first band that I really got into for myself, and so close to my heart. I'll start from the beginning. The first album here is Bleach, originally released in 1989. This is not an original, this is actually the 2009 reissue of the album on 2 LPs. The original album on disc 1, and then a live show from February 1990 on disc 2. Mainly tracks from the album, but also some others like Dive and Spank Through. The record comes with a really lovely book which has pictures from the band playing live around the time of the release, and some of the photos and footage that were used in press around that time. Covers for some of the original singles. The records themselves come inside really sleek, glossy inserts. I've got mine inside some additional sleeves for protection. That's the first disc, just on standard black vinyl. Really great release, I think underrated for them. It certainly paved the way for them to really break out in the grunge scene. The second record I'm going to show here is Sliver, which was a single that was released after the first album. This is a 1991 second press of this record, which is on a blue vinyl, released in Europe by Utero rather than by Sub Pop. This is backed by the song Dive and a live version of About a Girl. Next up, the album that everybody knows, Nevermind. This is the all-time classic. If you're going to get into grunge or into Nirvana, this is where you start for obvious reasons. This is not an original, this is a reissue from, I believe, 2011 or 2012, part of the Back to Black series. And it's just a standard black vinyl. Obviously they recreated the original insert. Just the standard. Nice press, plays nicely. I've never really tried to get hold of an original. I've heard that they are decent, but I frankly have never had a problem with how this one sounds. I think this one sounds pretty good. And you're talking crazy money really for the originals. Next up, got some singles. So this is the Smells Like Teen Spirit single from 1991. This one has as B-sides the track Drain You, as well as Even in His Youth, which I think's one of those hidden gem tracks from this period by Nirvana. Really love that one. As well as some tour dates at the bottom, which obviously this was released in promotion of. That's the single 12-inch. Next up is a UK edition picture disc of Smells Like Teen Spirit. This is slightly different. It's got, instead of Even in His Youth, it's got Aneurysm as the B-side. The first time that it was released. So again, a really great track by Nirvana, which went unnoticed for a few years, it seems. Again, this one also has the tour dates around the time of release. Record itself, really pretty picture disc. Like all picture discs from kind of the 1990s, doesn't sound as great as a standard black vinyl would, but looks great. So following on from that is Come As You Are, which was backed by Endless Nameless and a live version of School from the first album. Lithium. All of these picture discs were UK pressings in promotion of the album. The back of Lithium, it's kind of hard to see here, but the very bottom of that actually has a image of ultrasound. This was backed with a live version of Been a Sun and the track Curmudgeon, which would later be issued on some of the kind of B-sides and rarities compilations. Very distinct artwork. The last of these is In Bloom. This had live versions of Sliver and Polly as the B-sides of the single. This one has a really, really cool, clear border around the record. Next up is Incesticide. This is not an original, this is a reissue from a couple of years ago now. Nice gatefold, cool artwork here on the inside. On 2 LPs rather than 1 as the original was. So spread across, which does help the sound quality. It's on a standard black vinyl. Worth buying for a couple of the tracks alone, really. I mean, Aneurysm is such a great track of theirs. So is Dive, right at the start of the album. Really, really cool set of songs from a kind of strange period in between Nevermind and In Utero. Another strange one in between those 2 albums is this single. This is a 7-inch split that Nirvana did with the Jesus Lizard. The tracks are called Puss by Jesus Lizard and Oh the Guilt by Nirvana. This is on blue vinyl. Really interesting track. Oh the Guilt. Really just sounds like they're having fun making it, which is a really great thing. Next up here's In Utero, which for many is actually the favourite. People really love In Utero, the slightly rawer production compared to Nevermind. This is a reissue 20 years after the release. Same series as the Nevermind Back to Black. A standard 108 gram vinyl. Sounds great. Just like with Nevermind, I've never really been able to get hold of an original. There's a clear pressing that was released that looks glorious but sells for hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So I'm quite happy to stick with this. Next up, single from the album, Heart Shaped Box. This is the 12-inch single. The extra tracks on the B-side were Milk It, which was on the album, and Marigold, which is the only Nirvana song of which Dave Grohl had a writing credit. The original from '93 there. all apologies. This is it was a double A side, and what's really great about this particular release is that it was released with art prints as kind of a collectible, and the copy I have, fortunate enough to say, has them intact. As I say, it was a double A side with MV as the B side. Which at the time was a previously unreleased track. And they also had to call it MV because its actual name would not be stocked in shops. Got an extra curiosity here which is in the timeline a little bit, but out of it as well. This is the 7-inch single for Penny Royalty, which was going to be the next single from the album, but it was scrapped. And in the end, wasn't released until decades later when it was released for Record Store Day, which is how I ended up with it. It's a standard 7-inch single. On the B-side is I Hate Myself and I Want to Die, which was another one of those tracks which was hard to get hold of on vinyl. It was on the Beavis and Butthead. It was the Beavis and Butthead Experience LP that it was originally on. MTV Unplugged, one of the most famous concerts that Nirvana ever undertook. This is a reissue from a few years ago. Sounds fantastic. I think it was part of the Back to Black series again, like in Utero and Nevermind were. Came with the download code. Yeah, really, really great acoustic unplugged performance. The versions of David Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World and Lead Belly's Where Did You Sleep Last Night are iconic and magnificent. From the Muddy Banks of the Wishkah is the live album, which was put together not long after Kurt Cobain's death. Released in '96 originally. This is the reissue. It's a 2 LP set, 3 sides music, and the 4th side is essentially kind of banter and stage noise. Comes with a couple of cool inserts, so one of the band, another with the track listing, and another cool photo of the band. It's like many of the others, a standard black vinyl 2 LP set. Really great. It was one of the first things I picked up. I picked up the CD of this when I was at school, I think, and I loved the live versions of some of those tracks on this. That they were just so much more powerful than the record. I think a Heart-Shaped Box in particular on this sounds fantastic. Last but not least, I have something that doesn't quite fit the mould with the others. It's a unofficial bootleg LP of the complete BBC Radio 1 sessions from '89 to '91. And I picked this up because it has got a really stunning version of Something in the Way, a full band version of that track. It was recently reissued, I think, on the deluxe versions of the CD for Nevermind, but I couldn't get it on vinyl anywhere. This bootleg came along. The sound quality is as you'd expect for a bootleg. It doesn't sound as good, but it still was worth picking up. I'm really glad that I did. Probably my favourite bootleg in my collection. The label is a really cool and obviously illegal Nevermind smiley face with a BBC logo on it. And that's the end of the collection. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.